So today I've got a bit of a fun video where I'm going to attempt to create a complex ambient soundscape from just playing a single note. I'm going to be using the MicroFreak along with the Hologram Electronics Microcosm and Chroma Console. I do usually use this type of approach when making ambient music, so whether that's a guitar or whether it is a synth. The original patterns and source sound that I use are usually quite simple. Whatever the software in the synth can provide or complex effects, that's how I like to create music. So there are a number of tools available in both the Microcosm and the MicroFreak that enable you to do that. So that's what we're really going to look at today. So I've had the MicroFreak for a few years. It's a great little starter synth. In fact, it's a very powerful synthesizer for its price. It's a digital synth and has a huge range of different types of digital oscillators in it. And it has a lot of options in terms of shaping that sound. The Microcosm is an amazing effects box, multi-effects box, granular effects, delays, reverbs, looping, micro loops. And I've been using this for a number of years now, and I recently did a full walkthrough video of all the effects on this and produced this Hologram Microcosm memory card, which you can get on my Patreon, which is a summary of all the effects that are available in this. So this is an amazing, very rich, deep effects box. The Chroma Console is only here to add in a bit of character and texture at the end of the line today. We're not really showcasing the Chroma Console in this video. I'm going to work from the initial patch that you get in the MicroFreak and see where it goes, and probably do it a number of times so we can see the kind of scope of the tools that are available within these two boxes. Okay, we're going to start with an initial patch on the MicroFreak, which sounds like this. So if we press this hold button, then we can hold down a single note. So we've got a long sustained note now. That's not much use to us with regarding our complex ambient soundscape. So what I'm going to do now is use the arpeggiator, and that enables me to use the envelope as well, because at the moment this is a long sustained note. If I turn down the sustain, it's gone. So to use the envelope, we need to re-trigger the note, and we can do that with the arpeggiator. So the arpeggiator here allows you up to 4 octaves of an arpeggio. So if we just trigger that, that's triggering the note now. We can turn down this sustain and use the envelope here on the sound. This is quite fast, so we'll slow it down. So the way that the tempo works on the MicroFreak and the Microcosm is an overall tempo here. You can flick between time division and tempo, and in tempo here, this is the overall speed. And I've got this synced to the Microcosm, so this tempo here is affecting the tempo here in the Microcosm, and therefore affecting the timing of the effects, which is really handy. So that's MIDI synced between the two. And also on the MicroFreak and the Microcosm, there are divisions, time division, subdivision. The tempo is remaining the same, but the frequency of when it's triggered is changing. So 1/8 here, 1/4, 1/2, once every bar. So that's pretty slow. We go up to 1/4 here, and we've got a pulse going. And then you can use up to 4 octaves. So this is just a single octave. Speed it up a bit. So our 1 note is now 4 notes. So there's lots of other tools you can use on the MicroFreak to extend out this arpeggiator. One thing that I like to do is use the swing setting here. So this is currently rigid on the beat. But if you change the swing setting up to the full amount, you get like a syncopation. So it's at 50%, and you can go up to 75%. So we've got a much more interesting rhythm now, just by changing the swing. Speed it up a bit. Now we've got these other tool here, Spice and Dice. So these randomise the sound a bit. So these are key really in turning your single note into a complex soundscape. So Spice here is a setting that you can choose and leave at that point. So Spice is at nothing. You use this strip to turn it up. So this Spice setting randomizes all sorts of things. As you can hear, it's changing the timing and the pitch as well. And then there's a second setting called Dice, which affects how the Spice is working. But you can't lock that in. It's like a performance effect, so you can mess about with it. You get all sorts of extra randomization on top of your randomization. We've gone from one note to quite a lot of notes now. And now we're going to just look through some of these sounds and see if we get anything that's a bit nicer than the initial basic wave patch. So in these are the latest additions to the MicroFreak a couple of years ago, these granular effects. So I've gone into scan grains. Let's see what we can do with this. So we've got quite a lot of complexity going on now, and we've also got two LFOs available on the MicroFreak. We've got the normal LFO and the cycling envelope. So we're going to attach those to something to add even more variation into our sound. So the LFO, in this mod matrix here, nab the LFO to the cutoff. You can hear a kind of vibrato effect going on there now. This is synced at the moment, so if we take it off the sync, so this is going in time. If we take that off and just use the normal LFO timing, that LFO now is doing some quite complex things with the cutoff of the sound. And we've got the other LFO, which sometimes what I like to do is use this LFO, the cycling envelope, to control the rate of the other LFO. So let's have a go at that. So cycling envelope. First of all, we have to set this. This is not in these here, the normal modulation destination. So we have to assign it to this. Press assign 1, move the rate button. And now assign 1 is the rate of the LFO. Then if we go to cycling envelope, assign 1, that will this will change that. You can hear it now. You can slow it down. We've got some nice sounds going on there. So we could mess about with the arpeggiator, we could still mess about with the dice. This is all from our one note. So now we're going to bring in the effects. So on Microcosm we're on Mosaic A on Microcosm, which is multiple speeds, normal speed and ×2 speed. So now let's add in the microcosm. Turn this up a bit. That's our first attempt. See, we've got quite a lot to play with here, turning our one note into lots of notes. Let's have another go. Okay, so we're back on our initial patch here. Let's have another go. Let's choose a different note this time. Let's choose a G. There's our G. Engage the arc. Change the speed. Nice, the harmonic oscillator. We can get a random pattern on the arpeggiator. So we've got a random pattern with spice. And then there's a trick that you can do on the MicroFreak where you can save these spice and dice settings on the arpeggiator into the sequencer. So if you press Shift and then the either A or B for the sequencer that you want to save it into, then it'll transfer this into the sequencer. The spice and dice don't work on the sequencer. You can only transfer spice and dice into the sequencer pattern from recording the arp. But this now is from our single note. And another trick that you can do is if you go in Utility, Presets, and you go down to Sequence Arpeggiator, and then Sequence Length, you can actually change this length now. This is currently set to 16. If I add in a note, then it'll add a space in every so often. So sometimes you can break up the pattern quite a bit by adding in extra spaces or taking them away at the end of the pattern. So this is now a 17 beat pattern. Let's put the LFO onto this chorus. So LFO to the shape is not actually in one of these normal modulation settings. So we'll assign it to 1 here. That's assigned the shape to 1. We'll go to the LFO and we'll assign the LFO to this shape button. So that's now affecting that. We can slow this down, turn off the sync. That's adding a nice bit of complexity into the sound. And we've now got the cycling envelope that we can attach to something. So I think we'll go for this one here, the wave. And we'll attach the cycling envelope to the wave. Cycling envelope wave. Slow it down a bit. And maybe add a bit of cut-off in there as well. So We've used the arpeggiator with the spice and dice. We've saved that into the sequencer. We've extended the length of the sequencer, and then we've messed about with the LFOs. This is the sound that we've got this second time from our single note. So now we're going to add in some effects. I'm on sequence here. Let's see what that sounds like. Never go wrong with a bit of space on your sound from the microcosm. It's nice already, but we'll just add in these activity. Maybe slow it down. Let's slow down the whole thing. Move to some of the other sequence. That's random rhythms. I've taken it down one octave. Let's hold shift and press another note. Let's go down 2 octaves. You get the idea. We've taken our arpeggiator and we put it into the sequencer, we've dropped it down, we've added all sorts of things in the MicroFreak, and now we've put it through sequence 3C, which is filter sweeps. All from our single note. Let's have one last go. Let's start here. I'm going to use all the same tools that we've been through in 1 and 2, so probably be a bit quicker this time. I'm just going to see where it takes me. So we've got copper strong here, string emulation, oscillator, quite nice. I'm going to put the LFO onto this decay. So shape, sine 1, LFO to shape. Quite nice effect there now. So I'm going to record that into the sequencer. And then we're going to extend the sequencer slightly to give us an offset. think we'll mess about with the cutoff with this cycling envelope. So, cycling envelope, cutoff. Some nice little sounds now, so we can just fill that out now with the microcosm and see what we get. In fact, I'm gonna drop it first though. Okay, so we've got quite a lot of space in this with all different types of little bits of sound going on. So let's run it through the microcosm and see what we can get. So we're on SAW X, which is one of the noise engineering oscillators, and we're on Tunnel A, Microloop Drones, sample length LFO. Single note. So that is our single note, slightly harsh ambient soundscape. Quite nice though. So I think that demonstrates kind of what I'm getting at here, is that with a single note on gear like the MicroFreak and the Microcosm, you can quite easily, using the tools available in them, if you find the random tools and the things that allow you to have variation, you can go from a single note to very complex sound structures. And that really is the way that I like to work as a musician. And it's hours of fun. So I hope that's useful for you, and that's given you some ideas about how to maybe not be so involved in what notes to play, but just more in going with the flow of the tools that you've got available within the gear that you've got. So if you enjoyed this video, then you can support me by going to my Patreon and signing up to one of the subscriptions there, and you get all sorts of things, including this PDF guide for the Hologram Microcosm, the Microcosm memory card, which you can then print out, put on a bit of cardboard and put in front of your microcosm, so you've got a handy guide to all the effects. So I hope that was useful and fun and gave you some ideas for your own work. And if you do this kind of thing, if you've got your own tips and ideas, then just put them down in the comments. Or if you found this useful, put them down in the comments. Or if you didn't like this video at all and you thought it was terrible, just put it all down in the comments. And I reply to everything that people comment. So I hope you enjoyed that, and good luck with your music making, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers. Thanks. Bye.